Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will be discussing how the ExpandIT solution works for service organizations, and more specifically, we will look at an overview of the ExpandIT approvals. So I believe most of you are familiar with ExpandIT, but for those who don't know, we are a Microsoft independent software vendor, and we specialize in service management. And if I haven't met you already, my name is Julissa Gonzalez. I work on the marketing and business development side here at ExpandIT. And I also have Taylor Roque, who is a field service product expert and a business analyst who will be speaking in just a few minutes. So just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. We are recording today's session, so everyone who registered will get an email with a link to the on-demand version within the next few days. This session will run for approximately 30 minutes, which does include time for Q&A. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to submit them through the Q&A panel on your RingCentral console, and we'll address them towards the end. And if for some reason we don't have enough time to address all of your questions in today's live event, we will be contacting you following the webinar. So the agenda is as follows. We'll look at the objectives for the webinar. Next, I'll discuss key takeaways. Taylor will then take over and get into the demo. And as mentioned, we did allocate some time for Q&A at the end, and we'll finish off with next steps and additional resources that you can use. So what is the main objective? The main objective of this webinar is to provide an educational overview of how the ExpandIT approvals work in the ExpandIT Field Service software. And during the webinar, Taylor will give an overview of how to easily filter the data relevant to you when approving, time approvals, additions, and modifications, detailed order approvals allowing for product usage updates, comment review, and report review, and approvals external from the ERP allowing for postable data for billing. And now I'll hand it over to Taylor if you want to get started with the demo.
Thank you, Julissa. So today we're going to start in what we call our BAS, which is where the dispatchers and approvers really live in our system. So sometimes they're different people, sometimes they're the same, but sometimes we can have them be the same person as well. So in previous sessions, we have gone through how to enter hours and materials from the mobile client. So we are starting our session here in our approvals module. So right here on your left-hand side, you can see our planning board, approvals. We're going to go into approvals. And in approvals here, we have up at the top, hours, materials, and orders. As materials is a new tab that we have, so that is a new enhancement. The reason we have 3 tabs is there are generally sometimes people who only approve hours. There's somebody who maybe only cares about the materials because that affects their inventory. So as the orders get approved, they want to make sure that the inventory is getting consumed right away. And then there's people that worry about the orders, which orders includes hours and materials. Orders is really that encompassing feature. So it has materials, hours, reports, forms, visits. It has everything in it that you may need. So the hours and materials are kind of just broken out if those are only handled by certain people. So the first one I'm going to go into is our hours. Up here, we have our filters. We have dates, filters where you can only look at today, maybe just yesterday, current week, last week, just the current month, last month, or a custom range. If you did the custom range, you can choose, let's say you wanted to look at 6 months, which would be a lot of data, but you could look at the last 6 months, let's say. I'm going to do today. And we also have a filter for employee. So employee are your resources. So it drops down, it'll give you a whole list of people that you can filter to. So if you only worry, let's say, about myself, and let's do Emily. I only have to approve 2 people. I can go ahead and just select those 2 people. And I could even go down to the responsible parties. So when you're setting up your users and the work orders that are created, you can actually assign a responsible party. So if it is you who's responsible for it, you can set yourself up and assign it to you, so you can filter down really easily. You can filter by the work type. You can also filter maybe work type, meaning hours, miles, kilometers, whatever it may be. Maybe you're only worried about those mileage, time consumption. You can always do it that way. If you know the order number that you're searching for, you can type that into the order project number. That's going to be your sales order number, your project number, your work order number, whatever number you want to sort on, you can put in there. And then over here we have approved, deleted, and ongoing. So approved means you've already approved it. So it's always good if you want to see all of the date put together, you can always select approved. Deleted is lines that you've deleted. So it came in, or you added one in and then you deleted it. It's going to keep the history of it, and you can always show that as well. Ongoing is when you can see the actual timelines that are being created when somebody is actually within the order itself. So ongoing means somebody still is on the mobile device, they're still working on it, it can't be approved until they've completed for the day. So that's our filtering, lots of filters. We also have the ability up here where it says create new, we can create saved views. So when you drop down on create new, you can click create new, edit, and I can add this in as a description. Let's say Taylor's view. I can also make it a shared view. The shared view means it will go out to all of your administrators, so they would always see this view. So just keep that in mind. So I can click save. And now my view is going to be on this drop down list. So if you had 10 different views saved, they'd all be down here. You can click onto that view and just update your dates possibly, or if you had a view saved with a project number, probably not great, but you can always do that as well. So you can then go ahead and modify, but it's always going to pull in what I saved this view as. All right, so I am actually going to come over here and I'm going to look at this project number 841. And you can see here by clicking apply filters, I can now see the hours that were consumed to today's date to the project number 841. And these ones have not been approved. As you can see over here in the right-hand corner, there's not an approved by or approved date. So these are the hours that came in. We are able to go ahead and modify any of these that we need. So you can see here under the work type, we have time of hours and kilometers. We consume some mileage here. So I can always, maybe you're like, I know you didn't go 0.25 kilometers. I know you went 74 kilometers. You can always update them here. It will, anytime you update any field on the approvals, it's going to ask you for a justification. So if you enter then a justification, it will allow you to move on and save it. Let's say that you want to copy these hours. So you can always come here to this copy line, click it, it will drop it down, and you can see the one that was copied has the justification because they're asking you why you're doing this. I could even put this to another day because I know, like, for instance, they worked on this on the 7th and the 7th, and for 4 hours, it's going to ask you what the task is. It's going to pull up all the tasks that are on this work order. So we can choose our task, and then we would need to put in a justification. So forgot to clock in. So that will then add hours onto this date as well. So that's how you can do it. You can always delete a line. So let's say this one that we just added, I want to go ahead and delete. You can click the delete button. It's going to ask you again for another justification. Not needed, let's say. Click delete, and it's no longer there for you. You also can add a resource line. So let's say they completely forgot to clock into a job, because as you can see, we can't modify the job number. here, but we can add a job number. So if I want, I can click add resource line. Oh, they're going to ask because we have unsaved changes. We want to proceed. Okay. We have now to fill in our project number. So we can drop down here. We can see all of the different projects that we have in our list. We can see different tasks. You can select that. We can put it on the correct date. I'm going to put today's date, and I can put in my name because I'm the resource. You can choose anyone's name that you want to add it to. And then it's going to ask you for your work type. So if I type in, oops, it's hours. Let's see. We're just going to put in normal. And I'm going to put in my quantity of 7, let's say. So they worked on that for 7 hours. I'm going to click add, and it's going to be able to add it onto our list. Oops, it looks like I put it on. Oh, it's because I'm filtered on our order number. So again, I can click apply so that I can see everything. So here's now our 7 hours onto there because I was filtered onto that order number. So this is how you can do that. You can modify, you can delete, you can add, you can click Excel. If I click over to Excel, it's going to download a file here. And when it downloads that file, I can click open. It's going to pull it up. You're going to say, yes, you want to see it. And it will show you the hours that are on the screen. So you can always move everything out onto Excel as well. So this helps you. You can see the project order. You can see the quantity, start, finish time, task, work type, description, unit price and cost if that's there, total cost, and if it's been approved. So this is very helpful for people that just want to look at the data. They're maybe not the ones that are coming in here and actually approving it, but they can at least go into Excel and see all that information. So those are our hours. When you're ready and you say all these hours are good, you can click approved. And by clicking approved and save down here, which I'm only going to do one of these lines, I can click save, and it's going to mark it as approved by and the date and time. So you can always see what's been approved. Right here, you can see the date, the total. So it's pulling in how many miles, how many hours were worked. It's showing you all of this information. And even down here at the bottom, it's also adding up all of the information from this entire, for the entire resource. If there were multiple days, this is totaling for all of the days that are filtered too. So it's really useful. Like if you're just looking at it, you can not look at all the detail. You can come in here and just see a summary of all of the hours from all of the dates that you have filtered to. So the next one that we have is we have a tab called materials, and materials are similar. So it is only the materials though. So I'm gonna actually clear my filters right here, and I can see for my date of today, under Taylor Rogie, I have these 3 lines of material that came in from a work order. So I can, again, still filter down to the date. I can filter down to employee responsible, project number, what's been approved, deleted, or ongoing. I can see all of this information right from here. So these are your actual materials. So this is your inventory that came in, your consumed items. So from the mobile client, they said that they use these 4 pieces of advanced water machine. So they have used that many. You have the ability here to edit this though. So maybe you know for a fact they used 8 of them. Again, it's going to ask you for justification. We're just going to put mistake. And you can go ahead and update your unit price, unit cost if needed, because you know that it's a difference. This all comes into your ERP as consumed materials. So it's also going to go to your consumption of the job, so your job costing. So make sure that you are using the right pricing and costs that way. If they added any comments, You can actually see the comments that they added. You can add additional comments which go into your ERP. So we're just going to put, it was added to the job. We can click accept. Again, you also have the ability to copy that line. It will copy it into here. We can add additional, it goes to the original quantity that was used, so we can always use additional, add, subtract, how many, whatever we need to do, we can always do that. Again, you can delete as well. And then when we are confident this is what we have used, we can check mark it as approved, and we can go ahead and click save down here, and it will save the consumed materials. So I have it approved. I can always click apply, and now you can see the line that I have approved. Once it's approved, you can't copy it and you can't delete it. So now it's done. We have consumed all of it. If you need to make modifications, you'd have to do that in the ERP system once it injects there. So the next tab we have is orders. Orders, again, is what we are talking about, is all encompassing. It has all the information we need. It has the materials, it has the hours, it has forms, it has comments, it has messages. All of that is in the orders screen here. So same thing, you can search. You have the ability to search on the order number, project number, department, or customer number. We're going to go to our order we were working on, which is 841. You can always go to the departments if you want, the responsible party. I highly suggest, if you haven't modified how your system is set up with your order statuses, we have the ability out of the box as an essential customer set up that you can use this order status of awaiting approval and needs approval, and it will show you all of your lines that need to be approved. So by clicking apply filter, I now can see all of the orders that I need that has material time sitting on here that needs to be approved. If you want, you can always just go down to that one order that you are looking at, and we can see that here as well. So it's really important to make sure you always have the ability to look at what's awaiting approval. It will make your life much easier. So here we have our service order information. I have my service order 841. I can click on it. And here you're going to see all of that header information. You're going to see the work description, who was responsible, who the customer is, what status it's in, all of this information. It's in a planned status right now because we have additional planned entries for this service order. If this was the last service order that was here and planned, it would actually say order status is finished, meaning you're good to go to approve this work order and be completed with it. If you do another planned entry after this has been approved, like maybe at partial billings or stage billing, you can actually, it will pull this back up and it'll be in a planned status. So that's how the order status on here works. You have up here files. Files are any material, or sorry, any PDFs, any pictures that were saved to the work order from the mobile client or from within the work order. So you can always see this information from here. So you can always pull those up. You can see our PDFs. You can see the picture that was saved. You have service worksheets. You can always see who was assigned to this job or this work order. It would all list it here. If there was multiple of them, shows you that it's not been approved. We can go to forms. Forms are what are filled out by your mobile users. You can always see the forms here. We can click edit. It will pull up the form right here. And if you have it set up that you can edit the forms, these will be available for you to edit. So as you can see, mine says administrator editing. I can click no, because he said, did you have coffee? No, you said yes. You can upload additional images as well here. You can do whatever you need. You can add it. You can add an email recipient as well. And then you can click save. And by saving it, we now have a copy of the original and the modified version of this. So it's very helpful. You also have your messages to the office. So these were your messages back and forth from the mobile user and the office. Those are all going to show up right here for you to read through. We have invoice text. Invoice text goes back into the ERP as a blank line onto your order so that you can always fill this in. Maybe it's a note to billing that you had to add additional materials, and then they can go in and see what those additional materials are. You can click save and it will save it onto this invoice and send it over. Down here we have a summary. We have that same type of thing, same summary feel. We can always go into details, and on this details it will actually show you all of your materials, your time, all of that is going to show right here. So again, you have the ability to see all of it, approve it even from here, modify it, or even add it. So if you wanted to modify, let's say we want to add 5 onto there, we can add the 5 and we can click approved. Let's go ahead and approve all of this, and we can even add. So by clicking this plus sign, I can add a product or a resource. So if I type in water, let's say we're going to add inventory of a water pump. You have to select your inventory location, and we're going to say we had 15 of those added to our CNC task. We can add a comment as well and click add line. And now it has added our 32 pieces right here. So it's an easy way to just bring this information in. We can add it all up. You can approve it here as well. The only thing you are, you can't copy the lines of the hours or these material lines, but you can always add them. You can delete them as well. So that it's easy to do it here, but I think there are more features over in the other ones for people that are just utilizing it to approve those specific time or materials as well. So from there, we can always go ahead and click save. And now that we're saying we are done, we've approved everything, we want to go ahead and allow this to go over to the ERP, we can click approve everything. It's going to ask us, are you sure? This is going to basically finalize everything that we've approved. And we're going to click OK. And now we've approved. So one other thing I did want to show you as well is that in our approval screen, we have this button called edit. By clicking edit, we can actually go into the work order itself. So some customers might actually need to come in here and see all of this detailed information. So you're able to come in here, maybe they need to see that work address, customer invoice information. They can see more information about the tasks, any of the lines consumed as well. You can always come in here and add consumed lines if you need to as well and approve them from here. You can see if there were additional planning entries. You can see all of those because showing finalized are just the finalized lines. But if there were other people that needed to go out to this job, they would still be listed here as well. So this is another cool functionality that we have where you can actually be in approvals and go directly in to the work order without having to go to your planning board. So after all of that has been approved, it goes, once you run your injection of data, it will show up in your ERP system, and that is how our approvals works. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jaleesa.
Perfect, thank you, Taylor. So now we'll go into the Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, they can just submit them through the Q&A panel. I don't see any at this moment, but again, I will be displaying my contact information. So if you do have additional questions, you can always send an email our way. And so moving on to additional resources. Sorry, Taylor, if you just want to move the slide.
Yes.
Thank you. So there are a few additional resources that are available for your use. As mentioned, we are recording this webinar, so You can go over it again and at a slower pace as you may like. And we do have other educational videos on our official YouTube page where we cover different topics. We will have other educational webinars in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for those ones as well. And if you haven't seen any topics covered before and you would like to see them, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'll be posting my contact information in the next slide. And lastly, if you are a customer and you do need any support, you can always contact support@expandit.com for technical support. So with that being said, if you have any additional questions about the material that was covered, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.